Good morning, patriots. Good morning, rebels. Did you ever dream that you'd see the day that it would be an act of rebellion because you want to make America great again? Because you want to keep America great? You know what's amazing right now is God is picking rebels and putting them in positions of power right now. We have the greatest rebel in the world running this country right now. I think since the day I could talk, I've always been a rebel. From as far back as I can remember, I've always felt a great compulsion to defend the underdog, to befriend the outcasts, to not worry my head too much about the need to fit in. I didn't know then how these qualities would end up one day informing my decision to start what has now become a cultural and political phenomenon. Behind every great rebel is a mind that sees the world not just for what it is, but for what it could and should be. To never accept the status quo. Certainly not because it's the easy thing to do. It's the driving passion for change that tells the rebel to disrupt the establishment and to never, ever take no for an answer. It is the need to always be true to one's core values and oneself, to always think independently. Growing up gay in the 80s and 90s in a Catholic Nebraska farm community, being an independent thinker wasn't even really a choice. I was just one lonely, outspoken advocate for the gay community, and I suffered the repercussions of being that weird guy as a result. After high school, I ran as fast as I could to New York, and I quickly fell in with a very liberal crowd. I mean, after all, these were gay people in New York City, so it was kind of like shooting liberal fish in a Democrat barrel. But the collective consciousness of the LGBT community, and any other minority community in America for that matter, of any kind, is never so apparent as it is in the world of politics. You must be a liberal. You must be a Democrat. There is no tolerance for independent thought. With liberals, support for political issues within identity groups get traded like commodities on the New York Mercantile Exchange. Victimhood is one's greatest asset. And with the left's invention of intersectionality, it is a veritable buyer's market of oppression. Essentially, the way that this works is you band together with anybody who isn't a straight white man, and then you all enter into a never-ending pissing contest about who has it worse. Try being a woman. Well, try being black. Well, try being a trans black lesbian in a wheelchair with type 2 diabetes. Now listen, none of this is to say that that oppression itself is a fallacious concept. Our country has a dark and sordid past in its treatment of black people, immigrants, women, and gays. But to me, the goal has always been to fight for freedom and equality. And in 2015, when the Supreme Court decided that marriage equality was the law of the land for all Americans, okay? I felt that the gay community had crossed a final hurdle in our quest for equal rights. This, to me, seemed like a triumphant moment of celebration. But what happened next left me completely confused. I started getting attacked within my own community. The next thing I knew, I was regularly enduring attacks for now being a privileged gay man by people who are referring to themselves as non-binary, gender fluid, gender queer, two-spirit, demi-boys and demi-girls, and they attained their own coveted letters in the LGBTQ++IA, whatever, acronym. And suddenly, these folks were headlining the Victimhood Variety Show. I already had people of color and their guilted white liberal allies telling me with great resentment that my white privilege afforded me the keys to the golden gates of humanity, which meant that I constantly owed something to somebody to help equalize the unfairness of existence of people like me. None of this was making any sense to me whatsoever. In 2016, I voted for Hillary Clinton. You know, normally people have bad dreams about standing on stage and getting booed. It's literally my favorite part. When I do a speech, that's my favorite part. I love it. Can we do it one more time for good measure? God, that feels good. I, like all liberals, had turned over my complete trust to the liberal media. I believed that they had my best interests at heart and the best interests of their target audience, the victim classes, black people, brown people, LGBT people. But that's what I was, a target. They told me that Donald Trump was a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, a monster, and that his followers were no better. And I believed every word of it. After spending months crying, ranting, and all but screaming at the sky about Donald Trump being elected president, I had an exchange on Facebook which completely reversed the trajectory of my life. I boldly declared that I would never be able to understand how the American people could vote for a man who, among so many other things, stood before a cheering crowd and mocked a reporter's disability. And in a moment that for me rivaled the visitation of Mary by the angel Gabriel, a woman named Diane reached out to me privately with a video entitled, "Debunking that Trump Mocked the Disabled Reporter." This was a compilation of footage that showed clearly and compellingly how the liberal media had isolated this moment and spun a false narrative around it, appealing to the fear, panic, and prejudices of their target audience. I couldn't understand what I was seeing. I mean, CNN had never lied to me before. Why did they start lying on that day? This sent me on a journey of research throughout most of 2017, and I began to finally understand the root causes and illogical fallacy of liberal ideology. Why political correctness, identity politics, the victim narrative, and the rage of the left felt so wrong to me. The more I learned, the more I wanted to know. As I began having conversations with fellow liberals about my discoveries, I was met with a wall of hostility and contempt. This is when I began being shunned, unfriended, lied about, and attacked. The party of tolerance was anything but for my newfound expression of independent thought. And so, in May of 2018, I said, to hell with it, and I decided to fight back. So I shot a 6-minute video, what I call the definitive manifesto of everything that's wrong with liberalism and the Democratic Party. I released the video on social media declaring once and for all that I was walking away from the cult of liberalism and the party of division and hate, the Democratic Party, and I started the Walkaway campaign. Thank you. I encourage all people who were feeling the way I was feeling to also make their testimonial videos about why they too were walking away from the left. I told the silent majority that it was time to become unsilent, and that those on the right must also make their testimonials to take back the narrative of what it truly means to be a conservative in America. And the campaign exploded. Within 3 months, we had thousands of written and video testimonials. I worked night and day to promote the campaign, doing anywhere from 5 to 12 interviews every single day on television, on radio, and online. At this point, the liberal media could no longer ignore the growing Democratic Party refugee militia of walkaway. And so they did what they do best. They started lying. The report spread like wildfire across CNN, MSNBC, the Huffington Post, and the New York Times and Company about a new Russian propaganda campaign started by Vladimir Putin and supported by Russian bots that was aiming to damage the Democratic Party. All right, said the independent thinker in me, it's time to get creative. If the liberal media wants to once again dismiss the voices and the existence of real, everyday Americans, as they have now for so many years, then I will turn this attack into an opportunity to win. And so, yeah, they picked the wrong guy. And so, I announced the Walkaway March on Washington. Set 10 days before the midterm elections, the march in D.C. brought thousands of patriots from across the country to stand in solidarity against the party that had driven us all away. Hardworking Americans donated $20, $30 at a time over weeks until we had raised over $250,000 for the event. It was the most spectacular event that went almost completely unreported in 2018, except by another great American rebel. The morning of our march, President Donald J. Trump tweeted his admiration for the Walkaway campaign and congratulated me personally for starting something that he called very special. I just about made myself cry. The Walkaway campaign has now garnered more than 400,000 patriots. We have built a formidable community, which is a true representation of American diversity. We are Black people, brown people, white people, gay people, straight people of all backgrounds and beliefs. I am often asked, where are you walking to? And to this, I always reply, Walkaway is a journey, not a destination. It is not up to me or anybody else to tell another person where to go or what to believe. Only that it's time to walk away from the lies, the hate, the violence, vandalism, and vitriol of the political left. And so now, the table has been set, and it's time for Walkaway to launch our strategic plan to stop the Democratic Party dead in its tracks before 2020. We now have the Walkaway Foundation, our educational nonprofit organization, which will be supporting our nationwide roadshow speaking tour, our college campus tours, our Walkaway video series dedicated to debunking liberal media lies and myths and addressing the issues that affect our society. We will continue to use creative mediums to communicate with and affect change in minority communities. It is time for all minorities in America to walk away. And we are going to connect with the youth of America, and we are going to shift the youth vote to the right. It is time now for every conservative American to be a rebel. Because the most rebellious thing one can do today is to stand up boldly and proudly and say, I am a proud and patriotic American, and I will not surrender my country to the party of hate. Join me and my growing movement. Together, we will all walk away from the Democratic Party. For more information about this campaign and how you can get involved, this is going to be fun. You can take out your phones and text the word walkaway to 51400. That's text walkaway to 51400. You're going to get a great message if you do that. And you can catch me tomorrow night as I am Mark Levin's guest on Life, Liberty, and Levin for the full hour at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox News. I'm Brandon Straka. Thank you to Matt Schlapp, Daniel Schneider, and the entire CPAC team for this amazing opportunity and experience. And thank you all for this time together. #WalkAway!